Cadillac Northstar V8. Just mentioning this name sparks strong reactions among American car enthusiasts. Not because it was the most powerful, the smoothest, or the oldest engine, but because it's one of the most hated engines in American automotive history. In 1993, General Motors launched the Northstar as a strategic weapon, hoping it would restore Cadillac to its former glory, directly challenging German rivals like BMW and Mercedes-Benz. This wasn't just an engine, it was a symbol of an ambitious revival effort. But then, everything collapsed. Technical issues emerged, customers were furious, car values plummeted, and Cadillac lost its most precious asset, trust. How could a billion-dollar project, led by GM's top engineers, become one of the most bitter failures in American auto history? Today, we'll uncover the entire story, from Northstar's birth as Cadillac's savior to its downfall as a symbol of collapse. This is not just the story of an engine, it's a cautionary tale for the entire industry. By the late 1980s, Cadillac, the once proud symbol of American luxury, was teetering on the edge of crisis. BMW and Mercedes-Benz weren't just growing, they were eating Cadillac alive on its own turf, with sleek designs, smooth engines, and unmatched reliability. Meanwhile, Cadillac was stuck with outdated, underpowered, and failure-prone engines. The most infamous example? The HT 4010, a rushed attempt to meet fuel economy regulations that became one of the brand's biggest embarrassments. With just 125 horsepower and notoriously poor durability, the HT 4100 destroyed customer confidence. The trust crisis deepened. Loyal Cadillac buyers began defecting to German brands, where they found performance, refinement, and innovation that Cadillac no longer delivered. Slowly but surely, Cadillac's reputation as the old man's car became a painful reality. Market share plummeted, sales spiraled downward. Cadillac, the name that once defined American luxury, was now at risk of becoming irrelevant. With its grip on the luxury car market slipping away, General Motors' new patchwork fixes weren't enough. Cadillac needed something bold, something that would restore its status not just through image, but through undeniable engineering. That's how the Northstar project was born, a loud declaration that Cadillac wasn't fading away, and America still had the guts to go big. Around the mid-1980s, GM brought together some of its best engineering minds. Their mission was clear and daunting: build the most advanced V8 engine America has ever seen. To make that happen, GM invested over $1 billion, a massive sum at the time, on par with running a small space program. Freed from the constraints of old platforms, the team started from scratch. The result was an ambitious power plant: 281 cubic inches of displacement, 295 horsepower, a red line of 6,500 RPM, dual overhead cams with 32 valves, a full aluminum structure for weight savings, and an electronic fuel injection system paired with an intelligent control unit that could diagnose and adapt in real time. All of this went far beyond the old-school pushrod V8s, still dominating American engine bays. Northstar wasn't just strong, it was smooth, smart, and sophisticated, just like Cadillac wanted to be. GM wasn't aiming to catch up to BMW or Mercedes. They wanted to leap ahead, and on paper, they absolutely did. From the very beginning, Northstar made waves across the American automotive industry. The automotive press was almost stunned. Car and Driver called the new Eldorado shockingly good. This is a Cadillac you actually want to floor the gas in. Motor Trend praised the brand's bold reinvention. Even European critics, long known for dismissing American cars, had to admit Cadillac had finally found the right formula. Buyers responded too. People stopped thinking of Cadillac as a brand only for old folks. Those who had written it off were suddenly looking again. The cars felt smooth, accelerated confidently, and, perhaps most importantly, finally felt modern in a way American cars hadn't for years. Dealers reported rising sales, especially in markets long dominated by BMW and Mercedes. Almost overnight, Cadillac went from outdated to once again being a real contender. With Northstar, GM wasn't just selling cars, they were selling restored faith. And for those first 5 years, it truly felt like a fairy tale comeback. Just as everything seemed to be going right, rave reviews, rising sales, and Cadillac's long-lost prestige seemingly returning, a slow, burning nightmare began beneath the surface. At first, it was just a few cars coming back to dealerships for minor coolant loss. Others had a slightly rough idle or a random check engine light. Nothing alarming. After all, no engine is perfect. But as more cars crossed the 50,000 to 100,000 mile threshold, a troubling pattern emerged. Engine oil turning into a frothy chocolate milkshake, loss of compression, white smoke from the exhaust, and the inevitable diagnosis, blown head gasket. This failure became so common it earned its own name in the service world, the Northstar condition. It was a curse that struck nearly every early Northstar-powered Cadillac, sooner or later. Worse yet, it didn't seem to matter how the car was driven. Even owners who followed every maintenance schedule, changed oil religiously, and treated their car like gold couldn't escape it. And it never happened early, when warranty might have covered it. It waited until the warranty was gone, then quietly destroyed everything. Customers were stunned. They had spent tens of thousands on a premium Cadillac, babied it every mile, only to watch it turn into scrap metal right after making the final loan payment. So what exactly turned this once promising engine into a technical disaster? The answer lies in one small but critical detail, something most people would overlook, yet its consequences were massive: torque to yield head bolts, or simply TTY bolts. To understand the issue, you need to know what these bolts do. In any engine, the cylinder head must be tightly clamped to the engine block to seal the combustion chambers, coolant, and oil passages. If the head gasket leaks, coolant and oil can mix, causing internal destruction. Traditionally, head bolts are torqued to a fixed value and left in place. But Northstar used TTY bolts, a seemingly modern alternative. These bolts are tightened past their elastic limit during installation, meaning they permanently stretch. The theory was that this would provide more consistent clamping force and better sealing. But in practice, especially with Northstar's aluminum block, it was a recipe for disaster. As the engine heats and cools over thousands of cycles, aluminum expands more than iron. This constant movement weakens the clamping force from those already stretched bolts. And once the pressure fades, the head gasket begins to leak. Coolant invades the oil. Oil contaminates the coolant, and the engine starts to eat itself. Worse yet, TTY bolts are single-use only. But many dealerships or mechanics either didn't know or ignored this, reusing bolts to cut costs. The result? Failures after the repair. And that was the easy part. The real nightmare began with the repair bill. Because fixing a Northstar with a blown head gasket wasn't like fixing any other engine. This wasn't pop the hood, swap the gasket, retorque the bolts. This was open-heart surgery, American style, with a bill that could match the value of the car. First, The entire engine had to be pulled out of the bay. And remember, Northstar was a big DOHC engine shoehorned into tight compartments that were never really designed for it. To remove it, you'd have to take apart nearly the entire front end: radiator, subframe, exhaust, suspension, everything. Then came the fun part: inspecting the heads, discarding all TTY bolts, resurfacing the heads, checking for cracks. In many cases, the heads had to be sent to a machine shop for specialized work. And that's before even considering labor costs and OEM parts. The result? A proper head gasket job on a Northstar could run $4,000 to $6,000, and that's in early 2000s dollars. On a used car that might be worth $8,000 to $10,000, that was financial suicide. And when you realize this might not be the only problem, many owners simply walked away. No one wants to spend half or more of a car's value just fixing a single issue, and no one feels confident owning a Cadillac they know could break again. As thousands of Cadillacs began returning to service bays with the same symptoms: oil and coolant mixing, loss of compression, stalled engines, GM could no longer pretend it didn't know. But instead of stepping up, owning the problem, and fixing it head-on, the company chose a familiar tactic: blame the customer. Dealers began telling owners the issue was due to not changing oil on time, using the wrong coolant, or letting the engine overheat. And while that might be true in a few cases, the reality was that thousands of careful drivers were experiencing the exact same failure. As pressure mounted, GM rolled out a string of quick technical fixes. They changed torque specs, revised gasket designs, and used different bolt materials. But none of it addressed the root cause: the flawed TTY design. It was like putting a Band-Aid on a deep bone wound. It might hide the problem, but it wouldn't heal it. Even worse was the wildly inconsistent warranty coverage. Some lucky owners got full repairs, even beyond warranty. Others, facing the same issue, were denied outright. Same car, same problem. Different outcome depending on who reviewed the case. This led frustrated customers to nickname GM's policy the Cadillac Warranty Lottery. Get lucky, you're covered. Get unlucky, you're broke. As media coverage grew and stories of Cadillacs dying right after the warranty ended spread across forums and owner groups, GM couldn't keep the lid on any longer. They had lost their chance to fix it early, and now they were facing a storm of their own making. People who had spent tens of thousands of dollars on a luxury sedan found themselves paying nearly half the car's value just to keep it running. Those who had considered buying a Cadillac walked away. Those who had owned one and suffered never came back. The used market froze. The resale value of Northstar-powered Cadillacs plummeted, not because they ran poorly, but because everyone feared that inevitable head gasket day. Sellers had to price them low. Buyers steered clear. Mention Northstar to a car dealer, and you'd get a polite shake of the head. Worse still, Cadillac itself couldn't escape the shadow. Even after years of trying to improve and make things right, the brand could never shake the image tied to the Northstar disaster, a shadow too big and too deep to outrun. After nearly a decade of complaints, customer losses, and billions in damages, GM finally began to address the core issues of the Northstar. Starting around 2000, newer versions featured coil-on plug ignition, roller follower camshafts, and most importantly, a redesigned head bolt system with updated materials and torque procedures to avoid the fatal TTY flaw. By 2004 to 2005, particularly in rear-wheel drive applications, the Northstar had become far more reliable. with head gasket issues nearly eliminated. In fact, many enthusiasts now praise post-2005 Northstars as powerful, smooth, and dependable, if properly maintained. But by then, it was too late. The reputation had already fallen. The customers had already walked away. It didn't matter how well you fixed the engine if no one trusted you anymore. You could repair the Northstar, but not the faith people once had in the name. Worse yet, Cadillac's identity became synonymous with engine trouble, casting doubt on even their newest, fully redesigned models. The mission Northstar once carried, to save Cadillac, had now become a bitter lesson about the gap between engineering ambition and real-world durability. The Northstar wasn't a bad engine. In fact, it once symbolized American engineering ambition, a bold statement that Cadillac could still lead the tech race. But sometimes, one small flawed decision, like the TTY headbolt design, can trigger a chain of consequences that no fix can reverse. Northstar stands as a harsh reminder that trust isn't built on specs, but on long-term reliability. And once that trust is gone, no amount of innovation can fully bring it back. Today, many still call the Northstar Cadillac's nightmare. But for gearheads, it's also one of the clearest lessons in how the line between brilliance and disaster can be razor-thin. If you've ever owned, driven, or almost bought a Northstar-powered Cadillac, share your story in the comments. Were you a victim, a fan, or one of the lucky ones? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next shocking chapter in American automotive history.